What's good in the hood, fam? This is the Red Hood DJ Styles, and I am presenting my very first What If. This particular What If is a story that I thought of, and I had to check to make sure nobody else did, and luckily I haven't come across it. But just in case I overlooked anybody, if you do happen to know anyone who did this before me, please put their name down in the comment section, and I will be sure to give them the credit that they so rightfully deserve. Now that we have that out the way, this is a story that really could have worked out if Akira Toriyama had the foresight back in the early days of Dragon Ball. And this can actually work out pretty nicely and actually have a pretty cool turnout. So, without further ado, let me bring to you my story of what if Broly and Goku were sent to Earth? Part 1. Yes, Part 1. So, let's begin. It's age 737. A lone soldier named Bardock fears an assault by the galactic Emperor Frieza on his homeworld of planet Vegeta. Quickly meeting with his wife Gine, Bardock tells her his feelings of impending doom. Gine has always trusted Bardock's judgment more than anyone else, and so she accepts his words with no question. When she asks what he plans to do, Bardock tells her that he's going to send their youngest son, Kakarot, to the furthest planet outside of Frieza's empire, and then he'll send their older son Raditz there shortly after him when he gets back to the planet. This planet has a relative low gravity, and the inhabitants are kind of weak, so Bardock assures Gine that Kakarot should be okay there by himself, and should they survive, they know exactly where to find him. He tells her that he's going to take Kakarot from the nursery, and then send him off in a pod that's small enough to avoid Frieza's scanners. After sundown, Bardock sneaks away in the night and goes to get Kakarot, Gine tagging along with him to be the lookout. They make their way to the nursery, and Bardock knocks out several guards as he makes his way deeper inside. He searches through several rows of incubation tubes, and then he finally finds his son. As he takes Kakarot, he's startled by Gine, who ran inside because she saw King Vegeta making his way to the building, no doubt to check on his son the Prince. They agree to hurry and make themselves scarce, no doubt trying to avoid the king at all costs. But as they're leaving, Gine stops. Bardock, several feet in front of her, tells her to come on. Gine calls him to her, and when Bardock sees what she's looking at, he already knows what she's about to say. I know what you're thinking, Gine, but we can't. He's not ours. That's General Paragus' son. Gine looks at Bardock with eyes swelling with tears. Bardock, we can't leave him. Not like this. If we all die, I would rather go knowing I saved everyone I could. You can't expect me to overlook this child just because he's not mine. Bardock sighed. He had a feeling that something like this was going to happen. Guinea always could get what she wanted out of him. She really was good like that. Bardock looked at the name on the tube. Broly, huh? Well, it looked like today's your lucky day, kid. If nothing happens, we'll be back for you in Kakarot. If not, grow strong and live long lives. From there, the events of the Broly movie play out as normal, only now Broly, with his nameplate on him like a necklace, is placed in the pod with Goku and sent off to Earth. As per canon in the storyline, Planet Vegeta is destroyed. Bardock valiantly fights off Frieza's army, but this time, he's not by himself. Gine joined in fighting with him so he wouldn't die alone. They go through hordes of Frieza's men until they both come across him himself. Sneering at Frieza, they both charge up two ki blasts, using what power they had left and fire at the Galactic Emperor, who casually uses his supernova to engulf their attacks and them, to send them hurtling towards the planet, while holding each other's hands in death. Now, with the destruction of planet Vegeta, the story of Dragon Ball can finally take a new shape. It's early morning on planet Earth, and an old man chopping firewood sees a light streak across the sky. He initially thinks it's just a shooting star until the impact is felt where he's from miles away. Curious, he decides to investigate and see what crash landed. When he comes upon the scene, he sees what can only be described as a silverish white orb. It was sitting in a smoking crater, surrounded by debris. He went up to the orb and jumped back in a fighting stance when the door started to open, and out rolled two babies? The old man, who you already know as Gohan, was perplexed. He didn't know what he was expecting, but this certainly wasn't it. He stares at the children intently for a while. What in the world are they? He thinks to himself. Where could they possibly have come from? He puts this in the back of his mind, and he decides to take the kids with him. He has a home somewhere around Mount Paozu, so taking two unconscious boys with him shouldn't be that big of a deal. After a few days of being unconscious, one of the boys suddenly opened their eyes. It's the larger of the kids. He sits up and he looks at the old man with confusion. Soon, his confusion turns to fear as he begins to notice his surroundings. Becoming more and more fearful, the child recoiled in terror. As he tried to retreat from the old man, he accidentally stepped on the tail of the other child, waking him up and causing him to lash out in surprise and anger at the old man and him. The boys then start fighting amongst themselves as the fight went outside, with the smaller child doing several wild swings at the other. The larger child seemed to be taking the brunt of the hits, but then it happens. Gohan feels a swelling of ki as the larger child grows visibly more and more angry. He catches a punch from the smaller child, and with a wild, furious look in his eyes, he delivers a devastating punch to the smaller child's face, sending him hurtling so far away and slamming into a nearby rock wall where he's laid there. He then turns to Gohan and charges at him in a wild rage. Gohan at first is taken off guard at the speed of the seeming toddler. After several wild swings of his own, Gohan sidesteps the child and delivers a devastating blow by kicking the young boy right in his chin, sending him flying himself, knocking him out instantly. Gohan slumps tired on the ground, out of breath. What the hell was that? He thinks to himself. What? Seriously, what are the... Oh, shit, is the other child dead? He runs over to the other child only to find him basically embedded in the rock wall. And he was not looking good. Gohan easily breaks the rocks, releasing the other child. And once again, Gohan scoops the boys up and takes them back to his home, where they're now unconscious for over a week. In the meantime, Gohan sits with the boys and nurses them back to health as best he could. In the following weeks after, he starts to see a change in the boy's behavior. The smaller one, who he named Goku, was nowhere near as aggressive as he was when he first gained consciousness. The larger one, who apparently was named Broly because that was the name on his necklace, was a lot less fearful and skittish now. Who would have thought that a simple blow to the head could have changed them both so much? Gohan has no damn idea. Gohan pondered what he should do. Should he keep them himself? Or should he take them to his master, Roshi? They appear to be stronger than normal children, but that was obviously because they're not human. You have to understand that in this continuity, he saw it. He knows that that's not a plane. He knows there's no way in hell that these two boys are human because you don't have tails. And yes, I know they live on a planet where dinosaurs are still there. But guess what? There is nobody else walking around with a tail. So he knows they're aliens. Get over it. It's my story. Anyway, Gohan thought about this for several days and came to a final conclusion of keeping the boys and raising them himself. Over the next several years, Gohan, Goku, and Broly all live peaceful lives in the woods. Gohan teaches the boys martial arts and meditations in the interim so they can learn discipline and patience. Both boys seem to be naturals at fighting, and this only makes Gohan's task of training them easier. One particular night, you know where I'm about to go with this, Gohan sees Goku laying in the field staring at the clouds. He calls to Goku that it's time for bed as the full moon comes from behind the clouds. Suddenly, Goku screams out in what Gohan perceives as pain. As he rushes to his grandson's aid, he sees Goku start to grow and change into uh uh Goku just turned into a giant monkey. Goku transforms fully, blocking out the moon with his massive size, and starts to rampage all over the area with Gohan looking on in horror and disbelief. What was this new fresh hell? Every time he thought he had the boys figured out, they graciously reminded him of how little he actually knew. Gohan tries to get Goku's attention and screams at him, Goku! Goku! Stop, son! Gohan waves his arms and tries to get his attention. Goku's rampage temporarily stops, and his attention squarely falls on Gohan and has him instantly regretting he opened his mouth. With speed that didn't make sense for his size, Goku grabs Gohan in his hands and starts to squeeze. Gohan, now captured, begs his grandson to snap out of it, but to no avail. But before he can do much more damage, there's a sudden look of pain on Goku's face. It begins to twist and distort as he starts to change back and he shrinks. He lets go of Gohan while this is happening, who drops to the ground only to be caught by Broly, who saw everything that was happening and became scared of Goku's new form. It wasn't until he heard the cries of Grandpa Gohan that he stopped cowering, and then he finally sprang into action. It was simply by chance that Goku had his tail pulled off accidentally by Broly. All he was doing was trying to drag him away from Grandpa Gohan. Gohan was surprised by this sudden outburst from Broly, since he hadn't displayed anything quite like that since, well, he first met him. Grandpa! Broly yells as he rushes to his grandfather to make sure he's all right. I'm okay, son. I'm okay. Gohan reassuringly tells him as he hugs him. Where's your brother? Broly looks around and finally sees Goku. He's he's naked and sleeping in the middle of the field like nothing happened. Broly sits on the ground in disbelief. How could this happen? Would that happen to him too? Broly's mind races as he tries to piece together why he knew what to do with Goku. He didn't understand where that sense of certainty came from when he went for his tail. He didn't even mean to rip it off. He just wanted his brother to not hurt their grandpa. He starts to look up at the sky to ponder and suddenly hears Gohan shout not to look up. He looks back down and he asks why. Gohan tells him that Goku changed because of the moon. He's heard of something like this, but in those cases, the person usually turns into a wolf, not a monkey. Broly asks him what he should do. Gohan stoically looks at his grandson and says, well, my boy, there's only one thing to be done from what I've seen so far. But I will tell you this. This won't be something you'll like. Before he can ask exactly what he meant by that, Broly is quickly knocked unconscious by Gohan with a chop to the back of the neck. Grandpa Gohan also proceeds to pull off Broly's tail and then tosses it away. That should keep things from getting too lively once a month from now on. Gohan then gathers his boys and walks back to the house to take care of them, as usual. Father's work is never done, Gohan muses to himself. It was stressful, but they were his boys, and if he didn't look after them, who would? But it's after this Gohan decides it's time for the boys to get more intellectual training so they can take care of themselves properly after he's gone. Fast forward 6 years later, and a now 12-year-old Goku and Broly have grown into fine young men. Their martial arts are improving greatly, and their academics are they're coming along. While no one will ever mistake them for geniuses, they are a far cry where they are in canon as far as intelligence. As per usual, Goku went off alone to fish, Broly gathered firewood, and Grandpa Gohan meditated. Goku was about halfway back home with dinner when he was suddenly struck by a car. I think you all know what's about to happen. Cue Bulma, as she gets freaked out when the boy she hit with a car tosses it like it was nothing. And the shooting Goku in the head thing still happens. What? She's gotta have a story to tell you know who. I mean, how she think she got the D? That was that sexy story times for old Veggie. Anyways, after Goku shows he's bulletproof, an intrigued Bulma inquires about the Dragon Ball, to which Goku asks if she's talking about the three-star ball of his grandpa. Bulma confirms this and they head off to Goku's home. There, she meets Broly, who politely introduces himself with a bow and tells their grandpa that they have company. Grandpa Gohan sees Bulma and, well, he was trained by Roshi, so you fill in the inner monologue. Bulma asks Gohan if she could see his ball, to which Gohan blushes and says she's so forward, but he'll gladly oblige. And right on cue, next thing you know, Gohan takes a wallop upside the head with Broly's sign and saying, Grandpa, that's not what she meant and you know it. Gohan grins as he picks himself up and compliments Bulma on her punch. Finally, Bulma asks a question she was wondering since she met Goku. What's the deal with the smaller one and why is he so strong? Gohan grins. Miss, my boys are special. They're unlike anything else or anyone else on this planet. She then looks over at Broly and asks if he's as strong as Goku. Gohan simply smiles and says, No, he's stronger. Bulma looks on in bewilderment. This was not what she was expecting when she went on her adventure today. First, she hits a kid with a car, only to find he was unaffected by it, and apparently bulletproof. And now she finds out he has a brother who's stronger. It was then she got an idea. Bulma asks Gohan if Broly and Goku can accompany her on her journey for the Dragon Balls. Gohan is skeptical of this at first, and he doesn't want his boys being too far away from his watchful gaze. But he eventually relents because Broly and Goku pestered him until he said yes. But there was a condition to get the Dragon Ball from him. The boys had to visit his master Muten Roshi and see if he would take them on as his students. Broly and Goku were in shock. Well, why, Grandpa? Goku asked. We're not good enough students for you? Nonsense, Gohan replied. You both are my pride and joy, and it's been an honor to train you. But I fear I'm not strong enough to continue training you. There's still much untapped strength in the both of you, and I want to see that come to light. Help this young lady like how I've taught you, and then grow into the good men I've raised you to be. He hugs his boys and proceeds to give Bulma the three-star ball. And with that, Bulma receives her first Dragon Ball, with a very stern warning from Gohan, telling her to keep his boys safe and in check. Bulma nods in agreement as they head off, and this is where we'll leave things at. So, how'd you like it? You thought it was cool, thought it was a little rushed, thought, hey, where's the pterodactyl that kidnaps Bulma? Dude, I just switched around the entire freaking timeline. Either he's not going to be in there or he's going to be in part two. You guys are just going to have to get those likes up to make sure that there is one. Because I can only do this if I see, like, you know what? I'm going to give this a like goal, just like everybody else, and see what happens. If I can get at least 30, 30 likes, 30 likes, I will put out part two. No problem, no questions asked. I've already got it worked out. I get 30 likes, you get a part two. No 30 likes, no part two. Because obviously, you dudes ain't feeling it. So, let's see what happens from there. Until then, this is DJ Styles 410. Holla at your boy.